Now, let's find the value of sine negative 780 without using the table or the calculator. Now, this is a big number. So the first thing that you must remember is that the sine function is an odd function, right? So an odd function means that basically sine negative alpha can be written down as negative sine alpha, which means that sine negative 780 can be written down as negative sine 780. Okay, the first rule. Now, since we're dealing with the sine functions, what was the first rule? The first rule was that draw the graph. Okay, so draw the graph of the sine function. Okay, now here's the thing. You know that the sine function completes one wave in 2 pi or 360 degrees, which means that the second revolution, the second complete cycle, will complete at 720 degrees, right? This is 720 degrees. And so 780 means that 720 plus 60. So basically it's more or less like around this particular point, right? Let's just complete this cycle as well, which means that 780 is at this particular point, more or less. So this is 780 degrees. Okay. So theta at 780 degrees, we do not know what the y value, it must be somewhere around here, less than 1, because that's the maximum, but it's somewhere around here, right? We do not know what it is. Okay, now here's the thing. To solve this particular example, what do? Well, you can find a very weird thing over here. At basically 2 pi by 2, the value of the function is 0. And at 4 pi by 2, or let's not use pi by 2 here, let's use since we're dealing with degrees over here, let's not deal it with pi by 2, let's just use the degrees. At 90 degrees, this is 90 degrees by the way, it's equal to 1, right? So at 2 times 90 is equal to 0. Again, at 4 times 90 degrees, it's also equal to 0. At 6 times 90 degrees, it's again 0. At 8 times 90 degrees, it's again 0. So you can see the relation here. At every single even multiple of 90 degrees, the value of the function is 0, right? So you can use that same logic over here. You need to first, the thing that you need to do is you need to divide the number, which is 780 over here, by 90. Okay, and once you do that, you get the multiple, and that over here is 8, and the remainder is 60 degrees. So the even multiple over here is 8, which means that 720 degrees, which is this point here in the graph, that is your starting point, and you go ahead from that 720 degree point by 60 degrees, right? So here's what you do. You replace the 780 with 8 times 90 plus 60. Now 8 times 90 is an even multiple of 90 degrees, which means that this entire thing becomes 0, and you move on from that point by 60 degrees, right? So sine 780 is basically just equal to sine 60. So negative sine 80 is equal to negative sine 60. And as we all know, that is equal to negative under root 3 by 2, because sine 60 is equal to under root 3 by 2. And there is a whole logic behind why that is, but that is just way too basic at this level. You should know this by now. But you can use the calculator to calculate this as well. And I hope this makes sense. Just remember, even multiples of 90 degrees or even multiples of pi by 2 always give the value 0 for a sine function. And you'll use that always as a reference point when calculating larger numbers like 780 degrees.